Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a UDES 1516. It's a tier 10 Swedish medium tank. It's located on the eastbourne of Sand River, and this one is under the command of Ghost 608 of the Riddits clan. Now, this medium tank has a 120mm gun, which is capable of doing 440 alpha, 254mm pen with standard APCR. With the heat rounds, it can do as much as 310mm. It's a very flat tank, but it doesn't have much in the way of armour, and that's one of the reasons why it can move so quickly. Mainly down to the hull being so thin. 50mm at the front, sides, and at the rear it's only 30mm. On the turret, it's very well angled, but it's still only 100mm at the front, 40 at the sides, and 20 at the rear. So it's very, very thin on the armour. You can see he was giving a bit of a help there to the Buffeträger, who lodges him back, so quite nice there. But this replay actually did feature on Klaus Killerman's channel only earlier today. In fact, it was the one he put up at lunchtime, the second replay. And he actually titled the video, "Maybe I'm a Moron." Well, maybe I can answer that for you, Klaus, because I know a little about the subject that you were discussing in your video, and that's climate change. I know a lot about it, actually, a great deal. Well, that's partially down to the fact that I took a science degree when I was at university, and so I do understand a bit about what they're talking about, and I've looked into it in a great deal as well. And I can tell you that, yes, it's a little more complicated. And, of course, it is kind of political as well, because people have made it political in a way to try and get money, because it's all about money in the end. It's how much money you can get out of other people. And you do that with politics. So climate change has become political.
Get in there.
And, of course, that makes it a very, very difficult subject to talk about in a video, because you're talking about politics, and everybody's got their own view. He took a round there on the gun barrel from the Cobra. That should have been a lot more. Fires one back at the T57, gets a low roll. Remember, 440 alpha. And there's a Cobra up there. There you are, Mr. Cobra. Hello. What one?
Come on.
Oh, he didn't pen. Bounced it off the armour. Well, Klaus was actually referring to weather, and that, you know, sometime today the weather might be bad, or sometime tomorrow it might be good. And weather is actually different from climate. People often get the two confused. They think that, oh, we're always talking about the weather getting better or the weather getting bad. But actually, climate is something entirely different. Climate refers to the long-term climate of an area, that is how much heat it normally expects over a long period of time. Climate refers to hundreds of years, whereas weather refers to what it might be tomorrow. So it's a very speculative thing in some ways. Oh, that guy raised his gun knowing he was going to get hit, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. And I think he's going to go down with the next shot. He knows it. He's pulling back, trying to get around this Spune, but oh, we was lucky there, and we blocked a shot from the Ho-Ri. So why is climate such a difficult subject and so controversial? Well, it's actually down to the fact that, ow, he managed to get revenge on the guy. It's actually because climate has been changing over centuries, and of course it has been very, very different in the past. Just recent history, there was a little ice age, and it was very, very cold. But at the end of that little ice age, man started producing lots of industrial goods and pumping out carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide can affect the amount of heat that's retained in the atmosphere. It can, But the question is, did it? That's the big question, and most people can't answer that. That's a high roll. Now it's all down to personal choice, what you believe. But before the Little Ice Age, lovely shot there. Before the Little Ice Age, there was a period where it was warm, and that we weren't producing carbon dioxide back then. So how did it get warm back then and it was cold during the Little Ice Age? Well, that's a question a lot of climate scientists have not answered. And the reason they can't answer is they don't know. They don't know for certain. But some scientists, some solar scientists, that is people who've actually been studying the sun, can actually tell you that they do know, and they've managed to work it out. It's all down to the phases of the proximity of the planet to the sun and how much energy our planet actually receives from the sun. Waffenträger. Oh, we got that one through the gun shield, but yet again, the Waffenträger hit our gun. And that finishes him off. Only 2 hit points. So you see, oh wow, that guy just lost his turret. And there's a gorilla up there. And we've got a Progetto just over there as well. This is not looking good at the moment. We've got tier 10 tanks around us. It is a tier 10 game with tier 9 tanks, but yeah, this could get difficult. So anyway, the point is that it has been hotter in the past, and all of a sudden it got cold, and then it got hot again. And you see, most scientists, most of the people who believe in climate change, actually believe that man's the person who actually caused it to get warm. And they think that man caused it to get warm by pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Other scientists, like I said, these solar scientists, have actually worked out, no, it's not man pumping carbon dioxide. That did help, but it's not the cause. What caused the Earth to get warm was actually the fact that there was too much energy coming in from the sun. So at the moment, we've got this situation where we're getting huge amounts of energy coming in from the sun, and it's heating the planet up. And during the Little Ice Age, it was actually the fact there wasn't enough energy coming in from the sun, and there was a very low amount of sunspots, and that's why the sun wasn't putting out huge amounts of energy, and it got very cold. Now the climate alarmists think that, oh, the reason it was cold, oh, that was a good shot. The reason it was cold was that that's the natural state of affairs for our planet. And it's true, we do get ice ages every now and then. And that one went through the drive wheel. Uh-oh. That Progetto's emptying his magazine into us. We've lost 1,084 hit points to that Progetto alone. Ghost is in a lot of trouble now. We've got that gorilla and we've got the Progetto, we've got the Cobra. Well, actually, the Cobra was killed, sorry, so it's not the Cobra. So now we've got a bit of a problem. But anyway, getting back to climate change, the fact is that it has been warmer in the past, and it did get cold because there was a lack of sunspots, and then it's got warmer again. And all of this change in the temperature is actually mostly down to the amount of energy coming from the sun. But the climate people would turn around and say, no, it's the amount of carbon dioxide that we've been pumping out. Well, that's not true, because if you look into the science of it, you can actually see that in the past, when it was hot, man wasn't pumping out carbon dioxide. So it couldn't be carbon dioxide that was causing the changes. It had to be the amount of energy that was coming from the sun. And it's little things like this that if you look into it, that then you say, but I'm not a moron, as Klaus said, because I can look into it and find out for myself what is actually happening. Klaus was saying, maybe I'm a moron because I don't understand it. No, it's all about how much you look into it to see what is actually causing what's happening. And you can see that in the past there has been very hot periods In recent history, the Middle Ages had a very warm period. The Roman Ages had a very warm period when they actually had citrus fruits growing in Great Britain during the Roman period. They actually found lemon seeds and citrus trees up at Hadrian's Wall in Scotland, of all places. They actually grew grapes in the United Kingdom, or in Britain, that is, way back then, because it was warm enough. It was as warm in Britain as it was in France, and that's why the climate was different. Oh, that was a beautiful shot there. Took out the Progetto just by hitting the rear of the turret. Uh-oh, got the gorillas on the way. He fires one in. He's got to reload 6 seconds. Well, 7 actually. And oh, he does get him. The gorilla must have been on reload. There's only 3 enemies left. It looks like all 3 are down at the other end of the map at our cap area. Anyway, getting down to it, it's all a matter of, do you look into the subject or try and find information that you can understand that will explain it all to you. And if you do understand that there have been warm periods in the past and that we're coming into another warm period at the moment, then obviously you'd say, well, that's a good thing, because during warm periods, lots of people survive, and during cold periods, lots of people die. So cold is bad and warm is good. And you're not a moron. And that's the answer. And here's the end of battle stats. And that was an ace tanker game for Ghost 608 of Riddits in the UDES 1516. He got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits in this game. He got 7. He got a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage. He also got a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him. A fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He actually ended up with 5. 1 short of getting a top gun and 1/3 of the enemy team. Got a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle, and he got a shell proof for blocking more damage than the hit points of his own vehicle and surviving the battle. He also got a Spartan medal for blocking or ricocheting a non-penetrating shot when he had less than 10% of his hit points left. He got the steel wall for blocking the most damage in the game, at least 11 hits. And on top of all that, he picked up the high caliber for dealing the most damage in that game overall. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, we can see the highest damage in the game was 6,773, and that went to Ghost. Second highest damage went to the Progetto M65. A lot of that belonged to Ghost, actually, because he lost over 1,082 hit points of damage from the 3 shots or 4 shots that Progetto unloaded into him. And the third highest, well, that went to the TL7 with 3,642. When it came to kills, again, it's Ghost. He got 5 kills in that game. 4 kills went to the Skoda T50 and 2 kills went to the Gorilla 15 on his own team, the Progetto M65 on the enemy team, their Object 140. And when it came to base XP, he's got that one too. So he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,490 went to Ghost, 1,004 went to the TL7, and 924 went to the Wizzy 111 Model 1.5. I think that's the 1.5. Yes, it is, Model 5A. Yes, that was the one. So only 2 players managed to get over 1,000 base, and Ghost was the highest. He fired 30 rounds in the game, got 26 direct hits and 18 penetrations. You only get 40 rounds in this tank, so he actually got through 3/4 of his ammo. 6,773 hit points of damage, of which 3,211 were at more than 300 meters. You can snipe in this thing. It is possible, and he was sniping into the riverbed to get those shots. 11 hits received from the enemy, only 4 of which actually penetrated, 6 non-penetrations. I'm afraid 3 of those penetrations all came from the same tank, and it was that Progetto, I'm afraid. The other one, I believe, was the Hori one, which actually did get a big hit into him at the wrong moment. He also got 1 hit by way of splash damage as well. Block damage of 3,270, just qualified for the steel wall, by the way, with 11 shots received. 9 enemy vehicles damaged, 5 killed, 3,061 hit points of damage. That's spotting in this one. On a premium count, he actually made a profit of 25,935 credits. And he also took away 15,645 experience points out of it as well, getting a personal missions payout of 13,410. So an excellent game by Ghost. I'm sorry I was talking all the way through it, but it's trying to explain to Klaus the situation. It's all a matter of how much you want to actually devote to studying the subject. If you want to put a lot of energy into any subject, you become an expert. You're not a moron because you've actually taken the time to actually look into something. If you want to be the world's expert on making hot dogs, then yes, you can study it. You can learn your wiener and play with your wieners and get good result. But the thing is, when it comes to something so political, so divisive as climate change, it's very difficult to explain it to somebody without them taking offense or not understanding what you're trying to get to them. And that's why climate is one of the ones that's bound to set a lot of people off, especially considering what happened this morning when a certain politician got elected, a certain businessman, I should say, got elected because he doesn't believe in climate change, and neither do I. Well, not in the way that he does. I do believe that there is such a thing as climate change. It is changing, but it's not man that's changing it. It's very arrogant of man to think that he changes the climate. It's actually our star that's doing most of the changing, because it's the star that gives all the energy to Earth that actually does make it warm. So without that star, it would be very, very, very cold indeed. The fact of the matter is, if you want to look into it, there are a few books which can explain it to you in simple terms. In fact, there are a few books which I recommend, which are relatively cheap, which explain all of the very simple terms about what's actually going on. And if you are interested, I could certainly give you a link to those books so you could actually find out for yourself. And there are plenty of websites that explain about it and plenty of videos as well. But of course, there are people on the other side of the coin who would explain it in the opposite direction and say, oh, well, he doesn't understand the science. The thing is, I do understand the science a lot more than some people believe, and a lot more than some would want me to. The fact of the matter is that there's nothing to worry about with climate, because this planet's climate has been changing since the planet's been around. And in fact, it's going to change a lot more over the next 5 billion years. In fact, in less than 1 billion years from now, this planet's going to be uninhabitable by man. Literally, because the sun is changing. It is gradually changing its nature, and as it gives out and gets older and older, gives out more energy, it eventually becomes impossible for man to live on this planet. We would have to leave this star eventually, but we can probably stick around for the next 500 million years and get away with it. But after that, we will have to move, and we'll have to go somewhere else. And that's a certainty, because as the star puts out more energy, it becomes more difficult for us to live here, because there's more energy being received by the planet, and eventually the atmosphere will boil away into space, the oceans will boil away into space, and the surface of the planet will just be impossible to live on. And so we would be much better off moving from where we are at the moment to a different star system altogether, to find a star system where there's planets in the Goldilocks zone. And if you know what the Goldilocks zone are, it's the planets which are not too hot, not too cold, just right for liquid water to exist, and therefore you can inhabit those planets, seed them with all the plants and life that we need, and live on them instead. If there isn't life there already, because there might actually be. But are you a moron? That's what Klaus said. Maybe I'm a moron. No, you're not a moron, Klaus. In fact, what I actually understand is Klaus is actually quite a mathematician. I believe that, I'm not 100% certain about this, but I believe he did leave clues to the fact that he is actually qualified as a mathematician, or at least I suspect he is, in which case he probably knows a lot more about life and things in general. But he's very, how would I say, he's very relaxed and laid back, and he's actually enjoys what he does. So good for him. I definitely applaud that. Whatever you enjoy, whatever you like studying, study it, and be an expert. And even if you just generate videos and you're not very good at it, like I am, but just have fun doing what you do. But yes, I can definitely say when it comes to something like climate change, not to worry, because there's no danger to the planet, there's no danger to us. And all these people who go around saying, oh, all these bad weather, it's all down to climate change. No, they're telling you lies, I'm afraid, because they haven't got a clue. And if they did study climate change, they would realize that it's a long-term thing. It's not over a few weeks or a few days of weather. It's actually over hundreds of years of weather that climate changes. And in fact, the climate on this planet has been changing for the last 4.5 billion years. So it's not new. It's not man-made. It's not man-caused. In fact, it's actually caused by the sun. So there you go. Sorry that I talked over most of that replay. It's a very interesting battle by Ghost. He has sent in a good one there. And I do apologize for Ghost because he sent it in nearly a month ago. And I didn't get around to producing it. But I do have a large number of videos to do, as you know, thousands and thousands waiting to be done. And so I do as many as I can, as quickly as I can. And that was a really good battle by Ghost. He didn't get a huge number of kills, but he actually did put in the greatest amount of effort in that game by getting a very large amount of damage on the enemy. And basically, he held the dunes for his team. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.